the concern, and from an organisational viewpoint it's very important to us that if there is a difficulty we need to address it at the very first opportunity.
It is a key question. Has the culture within the mental health system changed sufficiently so that complaints and reports of possible abuse are listened to and acted on? The experience of one psychiatric nurse in County Clare would indicate that we still face serious problems in this area. Bridie Cox worked as a psychiatric nurse in the UK for 20 years. On returning to her native Clare in 2002, she worked in one of the new community-based units in the county, as the old mental hospital of Our Ladies in Ennis had closed down. Some of the behaviour she witnessed caused her serious concern.
Well, where on the one hand, the closing down an institution was a positive and forward-thinking move, but the residents were still being treated as though they were still inside in Our Ladies. You know, there was just that institutionalised behaviour by both the staff, and they felt that that was the way it was always done, so this is how it's going to carry on. And anybody with new ideas coming in were, you know, just ignored completely.
I mean, most of the mental hospitals are now emptying, so in that sense they are disappearing, but what's replaced them is only another version of the same thing. And I didn't realise that early on. I thought when we brought in new doctors that they'd have the same view I had of a therapeutic community as a view that you would try to deal with human beings. In fact, they came in with the medical view. So when you move them and nurses out of the hospital into districts, they did exactly the same things as they'd done in the institution.
I saw as well that there was people being verbally and physically abused. And, you know, I actually mentioned to, you know, one individual that the patient that he was had physically attacked was the same age as his father, but he took no notice. Then this same patient, if he moved from the table before medication was given out, he'd be hauled back and pushed roughly down onto the chair and shouted at and you know, sworn at. And so there was a culture of just browbeating and control.
Bridie reported her concerns to her management, but felt that no action was taken. She moved to another facility, where she witnessed similar attitudes from some staff.
There were still old people queuing up for baths, 2 people giving baths at the same time in the bathroom. No care plans, modern day care plans. It was all medically orientated, just give them tablets. So again, I explained that, you know, things just weren't right. And then, you know, I started being isolated, not being spoken to, questions being asked of why do you want to do that when it's easier to do this, and why don't you go with the flow.
For a whistleblower, it is a difficult place. It's certainly an isolated place. You may find it difficult to actually evidence your allegation, but you must do it. If you have a concern and responsibility, rests to raise it with the individual and indeed raise it with their superior and take it wherever it needs to go, but this must be addressed.
At times I came home crying because I felt so, you know, useless that there was no way there was any changes going to be made, despite the fact, you know, I did work along with some very caring nurses, but they were, you know, same as myself. They were staff nurses, so they weren't in a position to actually bring about any changes.
Bridie's complaints were dismissed by the HSE as unfounded, but she persevered, and eventually the Ombudsman found that her concerns had in fact not been properly investigated. She received an apology from the HSE for this.
Anybody should be able to make their complaints and be protected and make it as part of their practice, not as something that's outside of their practice. It should be tied in with it.